Sympathetic magic, glamour magic, monotheism, it's all tied in together. So with the law of similarity, it produces like. The law of contact, objects once connected remain connected to people, even if you don't have it anymore. That's why it's good to get rid of your ex's shit when you're done. The glamour of divine right. So glamour magic is the art of making something appear more beautiful than it really is. Okay. So just stick with me. It's just a theory. You don't have to believe me. And if you don't even care about stuff like this, you probably shouldn't be watching me because I am a truth seeker. So what has happened is the dark side of monotheistic religion was hidden behind the glamour magic, but now that the veil is down, the glamour magic is breaking down. And so people are starting to wake up and see that it was all about imperial conquest, it was all about spiritual domination, it was all about soul trapping and resource theft. So there was a doctrine of discovery around 1400s, I think it was. And I just jotted this shit down. I'm trying to get through this real quick because it's a lot, but I'm probably going to end up doing the decoding. And that'll be on my Patreon because the shit that I decode, you cannot watch on this platform. So there's a magical decree, and it's declared that non Christian lands empty and their peoples must be soulless. This wasn't just law, it was consensus reality hacking. And it's the reason behind genocides, allegedly, theoretically. Okay. So the cross, as a symbol of the sacrifice, is multi layered, but just for one thing, it's actually more terrifying than what we could think of, but it's connected to Saturn. Saturn has a cube on the top of it, hypercube. When a cube is unfolded, it looks like the cross. This represents the crossing of the souls, okay? So that is what controls the simulated reality, which is what controls the holographic reality. This is a simulated universe. And all of us in our conscious, our vibration, our energy is what creates the universe collectively. However, there is a group of people who try to manipulate this, all right? Allegedly. So what happens is our energy, the reason why so many people are tired and the reason why energy drinks are so popular is because our energy has been siphoned the same way time has been stolen, right? So what they do is they take what you think is a sin and people think, that I have to plead fervently, and I feel so bad about this. I'm so wrong. And what happens is you start to do the magic on your own self. It's pretty sophisticated. And what happens is the karma or the destiny of the group of people who are trying to dominate other people, it moves on to the unknowing people who are unconscious, unaware of what's happening behind the curtain, behind the veil, like Wizard of Oz. So the Aztec people, they had some teachings, and one of them was something that they call a living God impersonator, basically. Okay, and it's like TX Yeah, I looked this up to see if I was right because I was getting downloads. So yes, so what happens is they dress and honor a particular deity for a year and then they sacrifice it. Okay, so the belief was that the god's energy was transferred into the impersonator and the impersonator's karma was transferred out through the sacrifice. That's just one of the ancient connections to sacrifice. The other one was Huish based, the Huish scapegoat ritual, which is Azazel, and it's involved in laying the sins of the community onto a goat and sending it out into the wilderness. This is sympathetic magic. So the sins literally leave with the goat. Again, all monotheistic religion is magic, but when you know, you know. Now, binding rituals, this is Mesopotamian magic, all right? And it involves creating clay figures of enemies and binding them with cords and burying them. A lot of other people use this type of magic, but this types of magic I'm talking about. And it transfers the enemy's power or the enemy's fortune to the practitioner. Okay? Keep in mind, it's possible that maybe this has been done to a large group of people. Now, the modern theory, karma transfer between groups. So what happens is a whole entire population community of people can actually take on the karma of another community of people. So there's a sympathetic link through the land. So if a group of people have historical ties to a land, indigenous to the Americas, Africa diaspora, yada, 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 and that land is exploited or stolen, a karmic debt then attaches to that land. So the new occupants, by living on that land without acknowledging the debt, may be unknowingly absorbing the karma that's meant for the original people of that land. And they probably knew how to keep things in balance. But the people who colonize and take the land, they don't know what to do with the land, okay, to keep it sacred and in balance. This is why so much chaos on the planet. Now, the sympathetic link through identity. So, if a religious or ethnic group is considered to be chosen or cursed by the controlling system, then that system can redirect collective karma onto that group, treating them like a scapegoat. The anti Semitic conspiracy theories about world control serve this function, that they protect the karma of empires by projecting it onto people, to the subjects within the empire. We're gonna keep going. Sacrificial populations. So entire communities get trapped in cycles of violence, poverty, trauma, incarceration, and they become energetic sunken places. Their places, yeah. Their suffering generates low frequency energy, fear, rage, and despair, and it gets harvested into loosh and transmuted into stability for the privileged classes who are acting as the practitioners behind the curtain. This is karma being transferred by design. Now, when you think about Edom, what is the shield of Edom? Okay, it's a thing. You can look it up if you've never heard of it. But the concept here is that by practicing monotheistic religion sincerely without esoteric knowledge, that's hidden knowledge, the stuff they don't want you to know, okay, may be unknowingly absorbing or deflecting karmic consequences that would otherwise fall on the elite practitioners of magical control that's at the top of the pyramid, not the bottom. I'm going to keep going. Think about social hierarchies. So dimensional magic and stargates comes into play because they're being activated now. I told y'all all about it. I went to the mounds here in Memphis, Tennessee, did a whole ceremony with them, received downloads. All that is on Patreon because I cannot put that anywhere else right now. So in ancient texts, many of these traditions would go to these portals. They would go to the mounds. They would go to the pyramids. They would go to gateways. They would go out into the forest. Dimensional bridges would be in certain areas and they reopen. Okay. So in Sumerian, there is the Duran Aki, which is the bond of heaven and earth, was the name for their temple complexes that are literally a stargate. That's what it is. So the Egyptian Per Neter, which is the house of the god or the house of the Neteru, served as a similar function as well. They're being activated. Now, how does it connect to the sun and all the solar flares that we've been getting? Well, the sun is waking us up. The solar maximum between 2024 and 2026 is producing unprecedented coronal mass ejections and solar flares. But from an esoteric perspective, this is not just physics, it's consciousness, transmission of plasma. Sirius, which is a spiritual sun, and I'm going to show it to you, walked outside, heard Sirius, looked to the right, saw Sirius blue star. Shouldn't be able to see it, usually cannot see it, not until at least the end of June, early July, but for some reason I could see it. I'll post a video about that some other time. So the doggone tribe talked about Sirius. It's the spiritual sun and it transmit higher dimensional frequencies. I got a lot of breakdowns and decoders and stuff about this on Patreon. You can always go there if you like this type of information. So it catalyzes us. Now, Betelgeuse been doing something real strange lately. Betelgeuse was supposed to already had died and it's not dying, and they can't figure out why it's not dying. It's because it's a gateway. It's not a star. Okay. So the fluctuations in everything that's happening that's defying physics, it's because it's not a star. It is a star gate. All right. And the plasma, which is the fourth state of matter, this is helping us to wake up. And we're getting these frequencies as well as a Schumann resonance has been off the charts. So Mama Earth is helping us to go through this mass awakening. And when a mass awakening starts to happen and pineal glands are activated, the body's fascia system, which is a liquid crystal system. Your light body is your fascia. Yeah, you probably heard it here first. So with these frequencies, we're going to have ascension symptoms. We're going to have pain, sensitivity to light, all of these things. But some of the fatigue is because somebody has been stealing life force energy from people who have been unknowingly giving it away. The reactivation of ancient portals. Y'all want me to keep going? If you do, I'll do a part two and I get into the timeline wars and how time was sped up. And the reason why we feel like we don't have enough time is because they borrow so much of it. And now we're in debt with time, the same way the United States is in debt